Kia ora, good morning. Welcome to Ryan Bridge today. Great to have your company. Wednesday, the 11th of February, on the show this hour. Sir John Key's got a new job as chair of Crimson Education, getting foreign students into flash US Ivy League schools. He joins me live. We'll talk about the billion-dollar business, National's election strategy and his thoughts on our economic recovery. Also this morning, the government's pulling the pin on its retail crime advisory group 5 months early. Did Sunny Kaushal ram raid this thing into the ground? Members quitting left, right and centre. Paul Goldsmith and Sunny both live. And we've got a nangs epidemic in New Zealand. People huffing nitrous oxide from small canisters. Obviously, it's dangerous. Now escalating. Mega nangs have hit the streets in Hawke's Bay. We'll talk about that in a few minutes' time. Plus, our regular panel this morning, the Greens' Marama Davidson and Axe David Seymour. First, here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
There's nothing to suggest the rates of retail crime have fallen. The government's scrapping its retail crime ministerial advisory group early after 3 members resigned. Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith's confirmed it'll wrap up in May, not the scheduled September end date. Retail NZ CEO and former group member Carolyn Young told Ryan Bridge there are no signs offending is falling. She says there's always more to do to support retail and create better shopping environments. A coroner says government agencies have been too slow at taking on recommendations following the death of Malachi Schubex. The 5-year-old died in late 2021 from brain injuries following months of abuse at the hands of his carer, Michaela Barryball. In 2022, a review made 14 recommendations, which the government recently announced it would implement. But coroner Janet Anderson says changes aren't happening fast enough to reduce Aotearoa's scandalous rate of non-accidental child deaths. A damning review of the Teaching Council says the agency has lost focus on its core function of safeguarding children. An independent external review was carried out late last year by consultant Debbie Francis. The findings paint a picture of an organisation struggling to understand its primary role and which needs to overhaul its operating model over the next 5 years. The report says the council is focused on being liked by the profession, which has come at the expense of child safety and core duties. New Zealand's corruption score has declined for the 4th year in a row. The nation's Corruption Perception Index score has fallen 2 points, once again to its lowest ever, 81, 10 points lower than the peak of 91 in 2016. We still rank 4th equal with Norway, behind Denmark, Finland and Singapore. Transparency International New Zealand Executive Director Julie Haggie says it reflects how businesses feel about the public sector's integrity. She says it isn't hopeless, but it's a wake-up call and the country needs clear strategic direction. A father of one of the Christchurch mosque victims says he cannot understand why Brenton Tarrant's allowed to appeal his convictions and life sentence. Tarrant wants to overturn his guilty pleas to murder, attempted murder and terrorism, claiming prison conditions worsened his mental health. Rashid Omar's son died in the attack. He says yesterday in court was easier. He did not have to look at Tarrant, unlike on Monday. Omar says he likes to control and manipulate lawyers, adding he has so many rights.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
21-year-old debutante Luca Harrington is the 4th New Zealander to secure a medal at a Winter Olympics. He left his best until last at the Milan Cortina Games, jumping from 11th to bronze in the free ski slope style. An unbeaten T20 World Cup record partnership of 175 from Tim Seifert and Finn Allen has helped New Zealand post a 10-wicket win over the UAE in Chennai. The Herald reports Jason Holland and Ian Foster lead the shortlist to replace Reds-bound Vern Cotter as Blues Super Rugby coach next year.
Time is 3 minutes after 7. Great to have your company. Now, Labor's getting a bit of flack, especially in Auckland, for their capital gains tax, rightly so. But National's approach, as is usually the case with the centre-right party, is more user pays. It's a way to get revenue without actually sort of whacking and hitting and starving your constituents who were already starving, let's face it. Yesterday, it was a new tax on our power bills in order to make them cheaper, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but we live in hope. Last week they scrapped the full driver licence test, but then NZTA came out and said they may have to increase the fees that we pay for the first test and other bits to make up costs. We'll pay tolls to get the roads that we want. We're about to get hit with congestion charging. Now, so long as the stuff is ring-fenced, I prefer actually that it's done this way, that it is a user pays system. I think it's fairer. It makes more sense. But at some point, your household budget is hit with so many fees and so many charges that you have to stop and ask, how long can this continue? It's death by 1,000 cuts. And then you ask, can't the government cut some more of that wasteful spending they always talk about somewhere else to cover some of this stuff, or give me back some of the tax that I already pay through my wages? Thank you very much. In case you needed examples of that, this week, Shane Jones's $500 million slush funds would be a pretty good place to start, I would have thought.
Herald Now weather.
Kia ora. Today's high pressure keeps things dry and warm for most parts of the country, but those same warm temperatures also trigger showers and even thunderstorms for some places. At the same time, this easterly flow drags humid air over the top of the country. It's cloudy to start, but then the sun takes the baton and warms things up inland. However, along the east coast, onshore winds keep temperatures in the teens. Sunny breaks make an appearance this afternoon, but inland areas you may see a few showers, which could be thundery for parts of Tasman and Bulla. Today's highs are firmly in the 20s and northerly winds kick things off, but we see a switch to southerlies and southeasterlies later this afternoon. Now, this could be one of the more active parts of the country today once those afternoon showers get going, with possible thunderstorms for inland Tairāwhiti, Gisborne and Bay of Plenty. After an already warm start to the day with heavy showers for some areas, it only gets warmer and more humid as the day goes on. However, there will be plenty of sunny breaks with only the odd shower possible.
Kiwi education success story Crimson has named Sir John Key as its first chairman, a move that co-founder Jamie Beaton hints could be the first move towards an IPO. The former Prime Minister's governance roles include a 6-year stint on ANZ Group's board and his current roles as a director of the Nasdaq-listed $190 billion tech firm Palo Alto Networks. He's got a couple of others as well. We don't need to mention them all, do we? Crimson Education Group Chair Sir John Key joins us live this morning. Sir John, good morning.
Yeah, you don't need to list them all off, Ryan. How are you? Good morning.
We'll be here all day. Very well, thank you. And how are you? And we've spoken about you've been involved with Crimson for a long time. You've been advising for a long time. What does the chairman role mean? Why now? What does it mean?
Yeah, I just think it's a natural evolution with the company. I mean, basically, it's been around for a decade. It's doing incredibly well. It's growing at very, very high growth rates, producing a lot of cash with a really good margin. But as we go to the next level, I guess, for the business, it makes sense to bring in a bit of greater bench strength, for want of a bit of a term, on the board, and so they've added me and another guy called Sandeep, who's got a great track record in technology, been involved at very senior levels with Uber and other companies in Silicon Valley. So yeah, this is really about the next phase for the business, if you like. But certainly it's in great shape at the moment.
Yeah, it is. I've had a look at the numbers. I mean, it's just cranking. What's driving that growth? And as Chris Keel's piece in the Herald this morning suggests, is that next step an IPO?
Yeah, okay. So what's driving the business? If you think about it in simple terms, two parts of the business. One is the consulting business. So parents will want to do everything they can to help assist their student get into one of the top universities around the world. And that can start at a very young age, that program. And we provide everything from literally a sort of knowledge base, if you like, about how to make that application, make your CV stack up, right through to mentoring, giving people all sorts of uplift in knowledge in terms of sitting SAT exams and all of those kinds of things. So it's a very comprehensive program, and our success rate is multiples greater than any other provider in the market. So we're really the seen as the top end provider of those services, and that's been a big and core part of the business. Second, but massive market now is Crimson Global Academy, which is really online schooling. So we started the charter school in New Zealand, which was hugely oversubscribed in the first day here, but also globally, we've had a online high school. And again, if you go and look at something like Stanford Online, that's been a massive part of education providers trying to reach people who don't want to go to traditional bricks and mortar school for a lot of reasons, or want to do a few extra sort of classes. So they're the two big parts of the business. There are other aspects, but that's the main bit. In terms of IPO, what is clear is that the business is getting to a size and scale now, valuation, where it could take the next step. And there's three ways I'd sort of describe that. Number one is we just keep organically growing the business, as say, tremendous growth and lots of free cash flow on the balance sheet. Option one. Option two is a trade sale at some point down the track. So if you take a look at a company like New Oriental or TAL, which are both in China, they've been worth as much as about 20 or 30 billion, but they're very, very big businesses. They're listed at about 10 to sort of 15 billion at the moment. Lots of cash. I think New Oriental's got $4 billion US on the balance sheet. They're probably looking for the kinds of a global reach that we have outside of China. And the third option would be some sort of IPO on either the ASX in Australia with some link to the NZX in New Zealand, and or the New York Stock Exchange, or a combination of both.
You mentioned some pretty big numbers there for those companies that are trading out of China. I think Crimson currently has a valuation of about $1 billion based on the most recent capital raise. What is the sky the limit for a group like Crimson?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the $1 billion valuation without getting into too many numbers, I think you'd probably find if you had a deeper dive into the numbers today, it's a higher valuation than that, and that would be reflecting just how fast the business is growing. And one of the
what are you talking?
Well, let's sort of wait on that because I'm not a financial advisor, but just to give you an idea, the big growth, the company started by basically looking to a marketplace of, say, New Zealand parents. And maybe they didn't have the deep knowledge that, say, you know, a parent in America might have about how to get your child into, say, Harvard University. But what's been phenomenal and the enormous growth that's been happening has been in the United States market. So you would think that, you know, US parents would completely understand the system. Their children wouldn't need necessarily the same level of support and help. That hasn't been the case. And what's happening is that as we live in a more and more competitive world, the application rate versus the success rate of who actually gets into, say, Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Brown, any of these universities around the world is dropping. So it's becoming more competitive. And despite the fact that people will occasionally say, oh, well, you don't need to go to university, you know, Bill Gates dropped out or whatever, probably the greatest predictor of success really comes from tertiary education, and then ultimately to get in the modern world some of these top jobs, you know, having gone to a university like Harvard or whatever, you know, any of these Ivy League universities is a great starting point to get through the selection process for some of these tremendous jobs.
And now 6%, I was reading this morning, 6% of students at Stanford's intake for undergrad earlier this year were counselled by Crimson. It's an incredible story. I want to talk to you about a whole bunch of other stuff, as we always do, John, if that's all right. What should the strategy be, or how do you think the strategy is working for National heading into this election year? Obviously, Luxon hasn't really recovered his popularity. Polls are tight. It's going to be another one of those MMP elections. What happens?
Wow. Well, that's trickier than working at Crimson's strategy, which is pretty straightforward, actually. Look, I think it is what it is. It's been a really difficult economic time over the last few years. There's no getting away from the fact that the government inherited, a difficult situation with rising interest rates, a sort of self-inflicted recession, and therefore, it delivered lots of different things from cost of living issues right through. I think they need to do what they're doing, which is continue to demonstrate they have the best economic message for New Zealand, the best strategy, the best policies, and not lose their nerve over that. I think that they are doing that. They are demonstrating that things are starting to work. Most of the data we see actually is starting to get better. I know people have been waiting a long time for a recovery, but it slowly is coming. I think they've got good solid partners in New Zealand First and ACT, and I think you never know how the numbers play out and where everyone goes in the end, but I think they've proven in the last couple of years that they can govern effectively. So yeah, I'm not saying it's not going to be a hard, tight election, because I think the reality is it is going to be, but I do think National can get home, and it just
with
needs
Luxon.
to. Well, yeah,
What's your
absolutely,
message to those?
yeah.
Because the backbenchers start to get agitated and they start to look at the polls and they start to think
Yeah.
about their jobs. What's your message to them?
Oh, look, actually, change can sometimes be effective. You saw it when Jacinda came in and became the leader for the Labour Party for the 17 election, but that's really unusual. I think there actually is a lot of faith in Chris Luxon and his leadership, and I think rightfully so. I don't think anyone's arguing everything's perfect, because it's never perfect in any administration. It wasn't in mine, and it wouldn't be in Chris's or anybody else's. But I do think that this whole election will inevitably be fought on the economy. It just will be, because that's the big issue at the moment. And as we live in a world of changing AI and all these different things, I think people will say, how do I make the budget work, and how do I make sure I've got a job? And I think if you look at, if that's your criteria you're looking at, then there's just no getting away from the fact that Chris comes from, a deep background in business and a knowledge of the economy. So, I think, is he the best person to lead National into the election? In my view, without doubt.
Very quickly on AI,
Yeah.
and I know that one of the companies you're involved with is AI security adjacent. But there's this talk that AI is going to eat whole industries. Software, for example. I was talking to Rod Drury about this yesterday.
Yep.
What's your take on that and the bubble talk that we had late last year?
Yeah, okay. So just taking reverse order, the bubble, there's going to be a tremendous amount of spending in AI. We're seeing that globally. Much of that will actually be wasted, because you will eventually settle down with some winners and some losers, right? But if you put that to one side, I am in the camp that AI is going to be the most transformative piece of technology that we've seen probably since the internet, right? And why is that? Because it starts putting power at a very localized level in the hands of businesses. If you don't have an AI strategy and you're not trying to, basically replace every part of that, and I mean of the way you do things in terms of government or business, by using AI, if you're not thinking about that, you're not thinking straight. So you may have seen on last Friday, there's a company called Anthropic, I think, who are going to list it, around 350 billion, circa that kind of number, big number. Their equivalent of ChatGPT or Gemini is Claude. And Claude came out on Friday with a build your own AI model, right? And for business. And I just see it at Palo Alto Networks. I mean, we are just ripping that business apart, trying to use AI as an enabling tool. And by the way, we need to, because the bad actors who are trying to hack you are using exactly the same. But it's across every level. So I think it's easy to get hyped up on these things and all the rest of it. And I know all the sort of theories, but I think the basic proposition, which is we sometimes overestimate these things on the short term and underestimate them on the long term, is absolutely true. And it's like, okay, we're doing this interview this morning. I realize this isn't AI, by the way, but we're on Zoom. I've been on a board call in London that I got on at 4 a.m, and I just jumped off to do this interview. Who would have thought, when we were together doing things in my old job, who would have thought I'd be doing this way, or you would be presenting your show in the way you are? And what's happened is new technologies have allowed the media both to change in the way it gives information and communicates with people, but to the way that we can do things together. And AI is going to allow every business to do things in a remarkable way. So I mean, I could just give you examples of what we're doing, but it's just incredible in terms of document creation, in terms of analysis of data. I mean, I don't know about you, but in the old days, I'd get onto Google and I'd look at something and then I'd work my way through a story. Now I just go to Gemini and ChatGPT. I ask the question, it sends me a link. It literally, I mean, I think it's phenomenal. And we're just at the beginning.
I'm still I keep things very old school.
Yeah, I
Still
know,
have-
but I mean, yeah, so yeah, we all
But
do a
I hear
little bit
you.
of that, but man, it's just mind blowing your capacity to run businesses and look at data and analyze things and get information. And I mean, it's democratizing, power and control in the hands of consumers. But honestly, I mean, I'm involved in another business that supplies, this is going to sort of slightly blow your mind, but green concrete into, we have the only commercial way of producing cement at a much lower heat and therefore far lower emissions than any other cement around the world. Our biggest customers are all these hyperscalers who are wanting to buy our product to build huge data centers all around the world, so that they can keep up with the data demand and therefore the energy demand that will be coming through, what it requires for Amazon and everybody else to deliver all this to us.
That's the concrete, but how do we power them and cool them?
Yeah, no, well, I think that's probably why the government's on the right track with an LNG plant. It
Oh,
might
you
be a bit
reckon?
controversial, but they need some power from somewhere.
Yeah, but
Gotta be somewhere.
LNG, really?
Well,
And a
not
levy
really,
to
but
pay for it?
yeah, I know. Well, you got to pay for it somehow. It doesn't grow on trees, does it?
All right. Hey, we'll leave it there. Sir John, great to have you on the show as always.
Okay, mate. All the best. Bye bye.
Sir John Key, now chair of Crimson Education Group. Time is 7:20. To the UK now, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has vowed to remain in office. He is staying put. This is despite calls to resign over the Epstein scandal in Mandelson. He's been under pressure after appointing Mandelson as US ambassador, despite knowing that he had links to Epstein. His chief of staff, Morgan McSweeney, resigned earlier this week. Have a look.
There are some people in recent days who say the Labour government should have a different fight, a fight with itself, instead of a fight for the millions of people who need us to fight for them. And I say to them, I will never walk away from the mandate I was given to change this country.
No, of course you're not going to walk away. The question is whether you will be forced in due time. 21 after 7 now. We have a NANGS problem in this country. It's a dangerous trend of huffing nitrous oxide out of small canisters. But in Hawke's Bay, the problem is supersized. Look at these babies. They are the size of mini fire extinguishers and provide up to 260 hits a pop. Chris Hyde, Hawke's Bay Today editor, joins us live. Chris, what on earth do you need such a big thing for?
Yeah, it's really concerning, particularly the size of them, right? That's the thing that's really differentiated the concern that has been in the past to the concern now. So, yeah, what do you need them for? I mean, there is no reason why you need them that size. If you get 260 hits in one of those, there's potentially really significant health consequences for a lot of the people that are using that. And so that is why there was an emergency meeting called amongst the whole lot of stakeholders in Hawke's Bay to say we need to find a way to control this. It's a crisis. That's what essentially Te Tai Whenua here in Hawke's Bay are saying, and a whole bunch of councils and health officials were at that meeting as well, and are now trying to create essentially awareness of what is going on in this region.
And so are they young people or people who are using them doing the whole lot in one go, or is it like, you have a little bit and then you put a lid back on or something, or are they doing all the 260 hits in one go?
Oh, you'd certainly hope they're not doing all in one go. I don't think it's possible. I mean, I don't do this. I don't know for sure what on earth, how you do it. But I do know that there are consequences if you were to do a large hit. So, for example, the chance of losing consciousness can be quite high. So we've seen this in the past with road crashes. There's been road crashes, fatal ones that are linked to NANG use, where you have people just blacking out and for a short period, and that causes the crash. You also have the potential. We've had 2 people here in Hawke's Bay who have been admitted to ED with nerve damage from the abuse of these substances. That's occurred in very recent times, and is something that the Hawke's Bay DHB, now Health Hawke's Bay, they're really concerned about. So, yeah,
Bad stuff.
It's not good.
Yeah, potentially dangerous too. Chris, really appreciate your update this morning. Thank you for that. Chris Hyde, Hawke's Bay Today editor, with us live from Napier. Time is 24 after 7. Let's go to our politics panel now. Greens co-leader Marama Davidson and ACT leader David Seymour join us live from Parliament. Sorry to keep you waiting, guys. Thank you for being with me this morning. Morena, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with the retail crime group. David, has it done what it set out to do? Because retail crime hasn't come down in any dramatic fashion. I spoke to Carolyn Young from Retail NZ this morning. I know there are law changes that are happening and coming through, but was it all worth it?
Well, first of all, I mean, retail crime has come down. If you look at ram raids, down 85%, youth crime, there's a lot of retail crime, down 15% across the board. And as you say, some of the things that this group has proposed is not yet in place, because we like to make laws properly, and that takes a process where it goes through consultation and so on. So I would say overall we've gone from a world where people just walk out the door with no consequence to falling retail crime and a lot more powers, such as the ability to detain people who are stealing, which you just should be able to do. That's now going to be possible too. So I would say that overall,
it's worth it.
Shifted the values on crime. We've said it's the victims who have the rights. It's working, and the retail crime group has made a contribution to that.
Marama, David's right, isn't he? I mean, you just go down the street, you talk to your average Kiwi. Well, you talk to your average Kiwi, and the attitude towards these people who were walking out with trolleys full of food has completely changed. You're more likely now to see people actually chase them down and get them back. People are sick of it, had enough.
So, want to be clear here, ministerial advisory groups are actually useful. I know that from experience. But the flimsiness of the work, that absolutely cannot be attributed to any improvements in community safety. The report that they put out, the unevidenced, known to not work, that even the New Zealand police have slammed, for example, citizens' arrest powers as one of their suggestions. And for what cost, Ryan? And can I just take some time here? We had $1.8 million per year allocated to originally a 5-member group, which came down to, I think, 2. And I had a violence prevention ministerial advisory group, $1.95 million for 3 years, over 3 years, across 11 members, and they didn't spend that entire allocation. This group actually invoiced above the 1.8 million allocation. So money for Sunny, actually, Ryan, is what this group has been about. Money for Sunny. And to the public, Minister Goldsmith needs to be accountable, because the public are saying, hey, this looks like lining rich fellas' pockets with even more of our money.
All right. I love
that. The Minister needs to stand up.
I love that you're going down the taxpayer money route here, Marama. Long may that last. You mentioned the violence prevention group. What percentage reduction in violence was there as a result of it?
And for the retail crime group, I want to acknowledge...
Hang on.
...take time, including...
You brought it up.
Prevention violence...
Marama, you brought it up.
No, prevention violence will take
You mean
generations. Violence prevention will absolutely take generations.
So in a generation...
Advisory group able to do...
That money... In a generation, that money... What did you say it was? $1.5 million. That will reduce violence.
Had it over 3 years... 11 people.
This is all a waste of time, isn't it? It's window dressing, both of you. Pick an issue, start a group, make us feel good, nothing changes.
So they looked into and were able to point to exactly what we know works, Ryan, what we see in community. And David is welcome to visit,
I'm still here, Ryan.
David, you go on. All right. Should we
for-
talk about something else?
David is
Should we talk about
welcome
something
to
else?
visit, for example, the groups in the community who I have seen with my own eyes preventing young people from ram raiding shops. So we have seen that evidence.
All right.
That evidence was included in the violence prevention work.
Okay, we'll move on because we'll talk about the LNG charge that we're getting, the levy, the tax, whatever. Well, actually, David, I'm interested to know, is it a tax? I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, you pay it to the government. It's a tax, isn't it?
Well, first of all, if you want to, I mean, all levies and taxes are paid to the government, but there is a difference. I don't think that this argument's that productive. But a levy is something that you pay for a specific purpose. A specific group of people pay it because they get a particular thing back. A tax is where the government just takes the money from basically everybody and then uses it for a whole lot of different purposes, and they're not linked. So you want to get be right about the technical stuff. It is a levy. It is a charge put by the government onto the power companies and then put into the gas importation. Now, why would you do that? Well, basically because if they don't do it, the power companies won't build it themselves. There won't be enough gas, and when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, we love renewables, but the funny thing about renewables, you actually need some gas or other firming in order to make the renewables work, because you need a counterbalance when they're not going.
Yes, but why would they not invest?
Power companies build that.
Why do we need a taxpayer levy to make this work? Why can't private companies do the investment themselves? Is it because it's a bad investment?
Just to be clear, it's not a taxpayer levy. It is a levy
energy user
to power on specific. No. It's on specific power companies. They're paying.
Which we will pay.
Build this terminal so that, well, not necessarily, because if the net effect of this is that you reduce the cost of power prices because they've got that gas supply on the long cold nights and they don't have price spikes that don't get passed on to consumers, then actually power prices may...
Okay, so we may never see it.
...be the power companies that...
We may actually never see it on our bills.
Put it this way, it's not going to be something on your bill. So there's two things happening
here.
Yes, there's a levy on the power companies. Yes, they will.
Got you, understand.
But it's also true that there'll be more electricity supply that will bring down prices.
Roger.
Long cold nights
Roger.
And dry years. So
Marama,
that's what's actually happening here.
Marama, the problem isn't going to go away, and I know you're not going to like the solution because I've heard you talk about it. But what are we going to do then? What is the big grand plan to actually fix the energy crunch that will inevitably return? It's not here coming this winter, but will inevitably return.
Yeah, and I acknowledge that we've got to bring power bills down. This is guaranteed to increase people's power bills. It's like, Ryan, asking internet users today to fund for fax machine infrastructure. This is how much of a backward step. I know it's good, eh? This is how much of a backward step.
A couple of bangers this morning.
Backward step. This is an entirely backward step. It's also, of course, which people care about, pouring more fossil fuel onto a climate crisis.
So what do you do? What do you do?
And it's not going to make it cheaper. We've been very clear. We've put out plans.
So
we can, if we properly commit to it, dedicate and build a system of diverse, renewable, cleaner energy, make better use of our lakes and hydro systems, battery, solar, wind. We can properly invest, especially if it's $1 billion, into setting up for the long term, bring power bills down and also guard against further emissions into the climate.
I tell you, if you want to continue the analogy, the Green Party banned gas exploration. That's why we're having to do that, just remember. And what we actually did was ended up burning a whole lot more Indonesian coal. So to continue Marama's analogy, they took us back to the carrier pigeon, not the fax machine. But the truth is, if we're ever going to get to this world of 100% renewable energy, if it's going to happen, then having a supply of gas is going to be an essential transition to smooth out those prices. That's what this initiative does. And when you say it's absolutely guaranteed to increase power prices, I'm sorry, that's not true. That's not a fact. The fact is that it's going to put a price that will be paid by the power companies in return for getting a greater supply of electricity.
We'll leave it there. If this analogy goes any further, Listen, I didn't even think it can. I think we've reached
It will take us back to the Stone Age.
Appreciate your time this morning, guys.
Lifestyles.
Marama Davidson from the Greens and David
We're
Seymour.
around your neck.
From what?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, bye. 27 to 8. Here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
There's nothing to suggest the rates of retail crime have fallen. The government's scrapping its Retail Crime Ministerial Advisory Group early after 3 members resigned. Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith confirmed it'll wrap up in May, not the scheduled September end date. Retail NZ CEO and former group member Carolyn Young told Ryan Bridge there are no signs offending is falling. She says there's always more to do to support retail and create better shopping environments. A coroner says government agencies have been too slow at taking on recommendations following the death of Malachi Schubex. The 5-year-old died in late 2021 from brain injuries following months of abuse at the hands of his carer, Michaela Barryball. In 2022, a review made 14 recommendations, which the government recently announced it would implement. But coroner Janet Anderson says changes aren't happening fast enough to reduce Aotearoa's scandalous rate of non-accidental child deaths. A damning review of the Teaching Council says the agency has lost focus on its core function of safeguarding children. An independent external review was carried out late last year by consultant Debbie Francis. The findings paint a picture of an organisation struggling to understand its primary role and which needs to overhaul its operating model over the next 5 years. The report says the council is focused on being liked by the profession, which has come at the expense of child safety and core duties. New Zealand's corruption score has declined for the 4th year in a row. The nation's Corruption Perception Index score has fallen 2 points, once again to its lowest ever, 81, 10 points lower than the peak of 91 in 2016. We still rank 4th equal with Norway, behind Denmark, Finland and Singapore. Transparency International New Zealand Executive Director Julie Haggie says it reflects how businesses feel about the public sector's integrity. She says it isn't hopeless, but it's a wake-up call and the country needs clear strategic direction. A father of one of the Christchurch mosque victims says he cannot understand why Brenton Tarrant's allowed to appeal his convictions and life sentence. Tarrant wants to overturn his guilty pleas to murder, attempted murder and terrorism, claiming prison conditions worsened his mental health. Rashid Omar's son died in the attack. He says yesterday in court was easier. He did not have to look at Tarrant, unlike on Monday. Omar says he likes to control and manipulate lawyers, adding he has so many rights.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
21-year-old debutante Luca Harrington is the 4th New Zealander to secure a medal at a Winter Olympics. He left his best until last at the Milan Cortina Games, jumping from 11th to bronze in the free ski slopestyle. An unbeaten T20 World Cup record partnership of 175 from Tim Seifert and Finn Allen has helped New Zealand post a 10-wicket win over the UAE in Chennai. The Herald reports Jason Holland and Ian Foster lead the shortlist to replace Reds-bound Vern Cotter as Blues Super Rugby coach next year.
Herald Now Weather.
Kia ora. Today's high pressure keeps things dry and warm for most parts of the country, but those same warm temperatures also trigger showers and even thunderstorms for some places. At the same time, this easterly flow drags humid air over the top of the country. It's cloudy to start, but then the sun takes the baton and warms things up inland. However, along the east coast, onshore winds keep temperatures in the teens. Sunny breaks make an appearance this afternoon, but inland areas you may see a few showers, which could be thundery for parts of Tasman and Bulla. Today's highs are firmly in the 20s and northerly winds kick things off, but we see a switch to southerlies and southeasterlies later this afternoon. Now, this could be one of the more active parts of the country today once those afternoon showers get going, with possible thunderstorms for inland Tairāwhiti, Gisborne and Bay of Plenty. After an already warm start to the day, with heavy showers for some areas, it only gets warmer and more humid as the day goes on. However, there will be plenty of sunny breaks with only the odd shower possible.
It is 22 away from 8. So a group set up by the government to reduce retail crime is being scrapped months earlier than planned and following several resignations. So what's gone wrong? Paul Goldsmith is the Justice Minister with us this morning. Hey, Minister.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, very good. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you were on our panel on Friday on this show, and I asked you about this after Carolyn left, and you said, "Oh no, it's all good." What's changed in the last couple of weeks?
Well, I seem to recall that I said I was contemplating and thinking about what I should do next, so the situation is that it was going to finish in September. Over the summer, 3 out of the 5 left for a variety of reasons, and so I've made the pragmatic decision, rather than to try and reappoint 3 and keep it going to September, we'll wrap it up in 3 months' time, let the 2 remaining members conclude a couple of things. And overall, it's been very successful. It's got given us a number of useful ideas that are already in the legislation before the House to push back against the tide of retail crime that we faced as a government when we came in.
What was the retail crime rate then and now?
Well, it depends what figure you use. The primary figure that we've used as a government has been the 185,000 people who are victims of violent crime, and we've reduced that figure by 38,000 people in 2 years, and that's made a real difference to the lives of New Zealanders. Retail crime's part of that. I mean, normally what you're not having us on talking about is ram raids like we were 2 or 3 years ago, because ram raids are down 85%. So all these things have been part of the overall success that we've had in reducing the level of crime. But as all New Zealanders know, we've still got a lot of work to do.
Like shoplifting, I know ram raids.
Yes.
Ram raids are terrible, and you're right, they have come right down, and thank goodness for that. But that wasn't the work of this group, was it? I mean, a lot of the work of this group hasn't started yet.
No, it has started.
Well, I mean, it hasn't become law yet, the changes.
For the House. Yes, it hasn't, but the different message that we've sent as a government. 2 years ago, the message was crime is somebody else's fault, it's not your fault, it's society's fault. It was all sort of a very mixed message around gangs and everything. We've changed that message. Our sole focus is reducing the number of victims of crime. People are held accountable, in the retail context, we had the situation where people just walking out of supermarkets with trolleyfuls of food, not paying for it, not having any pushback against that. And so we're about giving some extra tools. Now, even the process of talking about getting those extra tools, I think, has had an influence.
All right. And good value for money. Would you hire Sunny again?
Yes. Well, good value for money. I mean, the point is...
but not yes to Sunny.
$1.8 million. Well, the $1.8 million has been funded by the crooks out of the Proceeds of Crime Act. The primary thing that the retail crime group did was got us to a stage of being able to get legislation into the House faster than otherwise it would have happened.
All right.
And that's been very useful.
Okay, all right, very good. Would you hire him again?
Well, maybe. Well, we'll see what if the people of New Zealand bless us with a second term, which I'm confident they will. Then there may be other opportunities.
More money for Sunny. All right. What about this? I've got a question for you this morning, Minister. Do you like the sound of Paul Goldsmith, Minister of Defence?
I don't know why you're being mischievous. The Prime Minister decides who does these things. I'm very happy, focused on the work that I'm doing at the moment. When Judith Collins retires, there'll be some reshuffle there, but that's something for the Prime Minister to work his way through.
Yeah, but I know, but how do you like the ring of it?
I like the ring of Minister of Justice, which I am at the moment, and also Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage. And you've never had me on the show to talk about the arts, and I'd be very happy to do that sometime.
No, but I'm just curious. So you've had no conversations with the PM about any roles? No? Definitely not.
No.
And no interest in defence.
I'm interested in everything. The wonderful thing about politics.
There it is. All right, I appreciate your time this morning. Paul Goldsmith, Minister of Justice for now, 18 away from 8. Right, speaking of crime, this attempted robbery from Italy is like something straight out of a movie. A group of armed robbers have blown up an armoured cash truck on a motorway. This is not a movie, this is real life. Some of the robbers were impersonating police, which is how they got the van to stop in the middle of the road in the first place. Then they detonated a bomb under the van, you can see the smoke, but a defensive foam device went off inside the truck, foiled the robbery. The men managed to get away in stolen cars, and police have caught 2 of the offenders. 2 others, look at that, 2 others, they say, still remain on the run. They need Sunny Kaushal, don't they? Right, time for a quick break. Next, business with Garth Bray.
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. You can do it. We can help. Here's how. Download Tempo now.
Hip-hop and R&B. Flavor.
Here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost center reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
The New Zealand Herald. News worth knowing.
Right, welcome back. Just let me get seated. It's really hard to get in these things at the moment. I don't know if that's anything to do with the Christmas ham. Look at Garth for a second. Seriously, it's really hard.
I'm here to help, Ryan.
Thank you, Garth.
I'm really here to help.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Right, it is time to talk business, and that's why Garth is here, thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar, who is in the running for the $1 billion deal to build us an LNG terminal, the one that John Key says we might as well have this morning. Garth Ray, host of Herald Now Business, is here. Garth, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. Seated comfortably and ready to go.
Ready to go. Right, so who's going to build this thing, do we think?
Yeah, officially, the official word on this from Simon Watts is that the government shortlisted some leading proposals and was moving to a commercial contracting stage with the idea of trying to sign something by the middle of this year, obviously before the election, because they see this as a plus, and probably because they would need to try and lock in a bit of certainty with a business desk has been doing a bit of a dive into this one. Dilip has been on the case, identified probably 3 bids. 2 of them look quite good. A Norwegian company, I'm going to muck this up, Hawke. Gave it a good go, didn't I?
Yeah.
Which basically they make a shipping company, and they make what are described as fast-track floating LNG terminals that kind of whip in and do the job.
I've seen a photo of this, because will our one float too?
Well,
is that
which
the idea?
One we buy.
Okay.
Because the other one is an outfit called Hibiscus Petroleum based in Malaysia, and they have already been looking around at gas fields and so on here, and their MD Kenneth Gerard Pereira was reported at a summit last year saying New Zealand's an appealing market. Because although we use a lot of renewables, very high use at the moment, I think it's sort of up in the high 90s towards 100 because we've had such a, good year for the dams. But LNG import costs are high, and we've recently discovered how important gas is. So there's a Turkish bidder, I think, possibly was in the mix, but apparently they were looking at Marsden Point.
Okay.
So it sounds like all this is the action is more located around Taranaki. This is a big deal. This is, I know you've been talking about it this morning, the worth of it, the point of it, all the rest of it. I think the reality is it's probably might add $16 to $30 to a power bill a year if it gets passed all the way through. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's interesting what David Seymour was just saying. I mean, it's not like it's going to show up on your power bill as a government levy. It's levied on some power companies, and then depending on how it all shakes down, we may or may not actually see it. You know,
someone
in theory,
always pays, right?
Well,
But so Contact, I think Mike Few just saying, hey, we'd rather it was on gas as well as electricity users, just to spread it around. I think Malcolm Johns from Genesis and the Herald today is talking about how, look, we can sort of see some value for this potentially. I mean, bear in mind they've done a lot to try and make Huntly the firming option with coal. Simon Upton, the sort of former national minister back in the 90s, who's parliamentary commissioner for the environment, saying, look, this is costly, bad idea. From an emissions perspective, it's not clear. Once you add in the cost of liquefying and transporting LNG, is it actually any better than coal?
Oh, really?
So he's saying,
because that's
slow your roll, basically.
Because that's the argument, isn't it?
One of them.
Okay, all
One
right.
of them is the bottom line, though, is people want the lights on more than they want a good price, I think. We've not had a lot of power cuts in this country recently, but go back into the late 90s and they had a wave of them, and that's when we got the last round of big market reforms, because people want the lights on no matter what.
You absolutely cannot get back to the past. Right, the SFO-run pilot scheme dove deep into processes and found 446 alleged or suspected cases of internal fraud. This is talking about government fraud? What are you talking about?
So this is a pilot scheme. I actually attended the launch of it last year, Mark Mitchell with the SFO director, and they basically got 6 government departments or agencies, IRD, ACC Corrections, MSD, Land Information, and Sport New Zealand, if you will, to say, hey, look, open your books, let us in, let us do a bunch of tests and assessments, and we'll take a look. And they reckon that they're really just trying to work out how well placed these big public sector agencies that spend, billions of our dollars, taxpayer dollars, are to spot fraud. They found something like in one case there was 70% of the assessment criteria for fraud and transactions weren't there, 64 weren't there at another. They've sort of anonymised this all so that they're not sort of playing blame games about which department's doing what better. But interesting stuff there. I mean, so they've broadened this out. They said, look, if we apply some analysis in the UK, could be $823 million to $10 billion in potential losses.
Okay, all right. Hey, the global dairy trade auction, we talk about that every fortnight, but they have a pulse auction every other week. What's the result of that? Yeah,
interesting and good. Popped up just overnight. Smaller than the main events, as you mentioned, sort of bit more bidders than in the previous pulse, and we saw lifts, basically. We saw about a 0.4% increase for whole milk powder, which is good. It's up to about $3,600 US a tonne now. And skim milk up 2.4, so still rising. That was up about 10, I think, in the last major event. And butter up 5%, and that's all on the back of ANZ, one of the big banks, saying
dragging their heels, but finally
the forecast, the 9.5 they're picking as the midpoint or the for the season price,
which is great
when it gets adjusted. So bonanza year down to the farms.
Fantastic, Garth. Thank you. Good to see you as always. Cheers for getting us into the out of the ad break, I should say, this hour. Garth Bray, Herald Now business host. Thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. It is 9 minutes away from 8. Next, personal finance with Mark Richardson, who is back for 2026. First time we've seen him. Then after 8, New Zealand slipped down the anti-corruption index. Do we really care? I mean, we're still 4th equal with Norway. We're hardly Sierra Leone, but we'll talk to them after 8 too.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Forsyth Bar investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Forsyth Bar, investment advice.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning. Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
7 away from 8, we'll get to Mark Richardson in just a jiffy. To the South Island first, where police say a woman missing for 6 months could be the victim of foul play. Claire Sherwood, News Talk ZB News Director, is with us this morning. Claire, what's the story here?
Yeah, this is Rowena Walker, and the conversational language being used by police, Ryan, in the last 24 hours has definitely changed, and the intensity of what they're saying has increased. Rowena was last seen at a convenience store in Burwood in August last year, and it was missing about 2 months later. She hasn't been in touch with her family, including her children, in that whole time, and police are concerned that she may have met foul play. They say that she hasn't used her bank cards, her phone, or her social media since she went missing. And they're now saying, look, the reality is they've scoured all different regions of New Zealand, and they're at the point where it's possible that Rowena met foul play. They're obviously continuing to appeal for any sightings or information about her. But as I say, the intensity and the language being used over the last few hours has certainly developed. Rowena last seen 6 months ago.
All right, Claire, thank you for that update. That's Claire Sherwood, News Talk ZB South Island News Director, with us this morning. It's 6 away from 8 now. Time to talk finance, thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. Deciding where to invest your money can feel like a minefield at times. How do you know if a higher risk growth fund is the right choice for you, for your investments? And how do you know if it's actually paying off? Mark Richardson, investment advisor at Forsyth Bar, is here to talk to us. Good morning, happy New Year, good to see you.
Yeah, same to you, happy New Year, even though it's February.
Yeah, I know, I just haven't seen you. So.
I don't know how many months you get. You probably get a couple of months.
I reckon you do.
Yeah. I thought I'd start off the year with a little bit of sort of 101. I guess, and it's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I'm sort of seeing investors make is when do you start judging the success of your portfolio? And you have to judge it against a number of different criteria. The first criteria that we always ask someone when we take them through a profile to work out what's going to be best for them is what is your time frame? And when we talk time frame, it's when do you need access to this money? How long are you going to invest for? Are you saving for something for a short-term goal and you just want to be beating deposit rates? Or is the saving for your retirement, which is 10, 15, 20 years away? Are you going to be withdrawing from this on a regular basis, even though you're in it for long term? That tends to set the playing field, and then other things tend to be referenced against that. And if you are looking for something to grow over the long term, don't judge it in a month, don't judge it in a year, because it's not how equities and share markets and growth portfolios will actually work. They go up and down, they go round and round, but over time they will grow. And it's probably one of the biggest bugbears is, and it's not a bugbear, but I'm not, this is not pointed towards anyone. It's just,
well, I was about to actually put my hand up and say one of the worst offenders for encouraging this type of behaviour and thinking is us in the media. Because we say, oh, look, gold, oh, what's happening with gold? Or we go, oh, look, AI, we do a bunch of stories on AI. And people go, oh, well, I should have done that and I should have done this and we should quickly do that.
Look, I'll use an example, looking at a very micro sort of scale, Apple, one of the world's greatest companies. Well, it's had years, it's had months when it's been down 30%. It's had years when it's been down 35%. But if you look at it over 10 years, this company has delivered an annualised return, in the ballpark of sort of 20 to 25%. If you judge it over that time, fantastic investment. Now you've got to look at your portfolio as a whole like that, because it'll go up, it'll go down, but and often when a share will lose value, it'll take time to recover. So you need to have the time horizon to be able to, stomach the time it takes to get back in front and then grow from there. And so if you're, and like the other point I want to make about this is if you need your money in a year, in 2 years' time, and you're in a bit of a growth strategy, which means you have lots of shares, lots of equities making up your portfolio, and it's going gangbusters, and you're going, oh, look at me, I'm fantastic. That still might not be the right strategy for you, because it's made up of a portfolio that the next year could be down 20%. That's how equities tend to work.
Yeah, but I just have to take it out at just the right time. That's as easy as that.
Yeah, well, even the great Warren Buffett's never been able to master that. He openly says this.
So what are the key messages for investors? I mean, people who are, who do have time on their hands, who are planning for the future. It's not just 1, 2 years. It's 10, it's 20, it's decades.
You make sure you're in good quality assets, and that's important. And be prepared to ride the ups and downs. And don't judge it over a month. Don't judge it over a year if it is a growth style asset. And one of the reasons I think people like they always talk about property. We're property mad in this country because we invest in property how you should invest in the share market. You're sort of forced to hold on for a decent length of time. The average time we hold a house or an investment property in this country is about 7 years, which is a minimum. And the other thing is we're not looking at the value of our property every day because it's not valued every day. And it's a little bit like KiwiSaver as well. People invest in KiwiSaver and forget about it. So then 5 years' time you go, have you seen the value of my KiwiSaver? Well, it's the same.
Gosh.
Yeah. The only problem with
Beryl, I've just woken up and discovered we're rich.
As a wealth management firm, we're our worst enemy because we give people access to their portfolios on our website to have a look at every day. And it is the wrong thing to do. Let us worry about that.
Bad idea. Hey, is there something I should be asking you about cricket?
No, other than are we a good team? And my answer would be yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because we're in the T20 World Cup,
we
obviously,
are.
so
yeah,
we're
doing well. We've played a couple of teams we should beat. I like the depth in the batting. There is a lot of runs that we should score, and we will need to score. The bowling tends to leak a little bit of runs, but if you score more runs than the opposition, everything's good.
Yeah, I can tell by the tan you've been either jet skiing or surfing. How's that been? How's your summer been? Good.
It's been a fantastic year. Beach summer. I've already booked my next surfing holiday.
Have you? We're back to Fiji.
Back to Fiji, but not till August.
Oh, right.
Something to look forward to.
Same spot. You're going to the same spot. You love it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, good on you. Good on you. All right, good to see you. Welcome back for another year. Mark Richardson, investment advisor at Forsyth Bar. Thanks to our partners at Forsyth Bar. It is coming up to 1 away from 8. You're watching Ryan Bridge today. Kia ora, good morning. Wednesday the 12th of February. On the show this hour, the government's pulling the pin on its Retail Crime Advisory Board 5 months early. We'll speak to our panel about that. And Sunny Kaushal joins us live before top of the hour. Also this morning, if you think corruption's something that happens in other countries, you might need to think again. The latest corruption index shows we're still in the top 5, but slipping. The top 5 best, that is. I just want to clarify. A Sail GP hits the sparkling waters of the Waitemata Harbour this weekend. We've got the Black Foils team with us this morning. All that ahead. First, here is Neva with the headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
There's nothing to suggest the rates of retail crime have fallen. The government's scrapping its Retail Crime Ministerial Advisory Group early after 3 members resigned. Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith confirmed it'll wrap up in May, not the scheduled September end date. Retail NZ CEO and former group member Carolyn Young told Ryan Bridge there are no signs offending is falling. She says there's always more to do to support retail and create better shopping environments. A coroner says government agencies have been too slow at taking on recommendations following the death of Malachi Schubex. The 5-year-old died in late 2021 from brain injuries following months of abuse at the hands of his carer, Michaela Barryball. In 2022, a review made 14 recommendations, which the government recently announced it would implement. But coroner Janet Anderson says changes aren't happening fast enough to reduce Aotearoa's scandalous rate of non-accidental child deaths. A damning review of the Teaching Council says the agency has lost focus on its core function of safeguarding children. An independent external review was carried out late last year by consultant Debbie Francis. The findings paint a picture of an organisation struggling to understand its primary role and which needs to overhaul its operating model over the next 5 years. The report says the council is focused on being liked by the profession, which has come at the expense of child safety and core duties. New Zealand's corruption score has declined for the 4th year in a row. The nation's Corruption Perception Index score has fallen 2 points, once again to its lowest ever, 81, 10 points lower than the peak of 91 in 2016. We still rank 4th equal with Norway, behind Denmark, Finland and Singapore. Transparency International New Zealand Executive Director Julie Haggie says it reflects how businesses feel about the public sector's integrity. She says it isn't hopeless, but it's a wake-up call and the country needs clear strategic direction. A father of one of the Christchurch mosque victims says he cannot understand why Brenton Tarrant's allowed to appeal his convictions and life sentence. Tarrant wants to overturn his guilty pleas to murder, attempted murder and terrorism, claiming prison conditions worsened his mental health. Rashid Omar's son died in the attack. He says yesterday in court was easier. He did not have to look at Tarrant, unlike on Monday. Omar says he likes to control and manipulate lawyers, adding he has so many rights.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
21-year-old debutante Luca Harrington is the fourth New Zealander to secure a medal at a Winter Olympics. He left his best until last at the Milan Cortina Games, jumping from 11th to bronze in the free ski slope style. An unbeaten T20 World Cup record partnership of 175 from Tim Seifert and Finn Allen has helped New Zealand post a 10-wicket win over the UAE in Chennai. The Herald reports Jason Holland and Ian Foster lead the shortlist to replace Reds-bound Vern Cotter as Blues Super Rugby coach next year.
Herald Now Weather.
Kia ora. Today's high pressure keeps things dry and warm for most parts of the country, but those same warm temperatures also trigger showers and even thunderstorms for some places. At the same time, this easterly flow drags humid air over the top of the country. It's cloudy to start, but then the sun takes the baton and warms things up inland. However, along the east coast, onshore winds keep temperatures in the teens. Sunny breaks make an appearance this afternoon, but inland areas you may see a few showers, which could be thundery for parts of Tasman and Bulla. Today's highs are firmly in the 20s and northerly winds kick things off, but we see a switch to southerlies and southeasterlies later this afternoon. Now, this could be one of the more active parts of the country today once those afternoon showers get going, with possible thunderstorms for inland Tairāwhiti, Gisborne and Bay of Plenty. After an already warm start to the day, with heavy showers for some areas, it only gets warmer and more humid as the day goes on. However, there will be plenty of sunny breaks with only the odd shower possible.
Right, 5 minutes after 8. New Zealand's score on the Corruption Perceptions Index has fallen again, dropping by 2 points over the past year. While we still rank 4th globally, now tied with Norway, experts warn this position masks a concerning long-term decline. Over the last 4 years, we've lost a total of 8 points, roughly 10% of our overall score. Julie Haggie is Executive Director of Transparency International New Zealand and joins us live from Wellington. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Ryan.
4th equal with Norway still sounds like we're pretty good. Like, I'm not freaking out here.
Certainly, we're still in that zone where we've got a reasonably good perceptions of how well our public sector is performing. So, that's a good thing. But it's the trajectory of the drop that is really concerning. We're moving fast downwards, and whereas other countries are sort of slipping little bits sometimes, some of them, we're heading downwards at pace, and that combined with what we know about corruption convictions and what we know from the report produced yesterday from the public sector about the amount of undiscovered corruption across the public sector should be of real concern to leaders in particular.
And what kind of corruption are we talking about? Government ministers on the take, or is it more, your baggage handlers who are letting drugs in?
Well, there is both elements. I think we've got the problems with across the public sector in a range of areas, not just baggage handlers. There's also immigration, licensing. There's building construction projects. We've seen over the last year considerable number of projects and corruption convictions going through the courts, and there's more to come. The first cartel conviction, two of them last year. So we've got major problems, lots of migrant exploitation going on. So we do have major problems across a range of public sector areas. And then there's also what we're seeing from the top, what's leading. We're not getting corruption convictions of politicians, but there is a concern across the country about the close liaison between industry and government. And the recognition of what power, we're not seeing the recognition of what power brings, what the risks that power brings, and how that can be mediated at the government level. And that's what we want to see through lobbying registers and greater transparency of political donations.
Denmark #1, is that right?
Yep.
Well, I mean, they'll have, I mean, I don't know specific examples, but I'm sure that they will have international criminal operations networks going in there with drugs and all that. I mean, they'll have the same problems, won't they? So why they get #1 and we're #4?
Well, it's a great question, and really like to hear more. Everybody wants to know how come Denmark's doing so well. But they do have a really strong focus on anti-corruption across their public sector, and I think that has been one of their... they've got a really strong leadership against anti-corruption at their government level. So I think those are the things we should be looking to. Also, generally, their culture has been one of let's do good and let's not do bad when nobody's looking. And I think we've slipped a little bit in that regard in terms of our general population approach.
All right, Julie, we'll leave it there. Appreciate your time this morning. Julie Haggie, who's the Executive Director, Transparency International. It is 9 after 8. You're watching Ryan Bridge today. Great to have your company. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the Black Foils team join me at the desk ahead of the SailGP in Auckland this weekend, and then we'll talk unemployment, a whole bunch of other stuff, a careers expert and our panel, all before 8:30.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build with GJs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They've helped us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Still can't get enough.
Know more of the story with Herald Premium, giving you full access to in-depth news, opinion and analysis, with more world news, business insights, and investigative reports from our world-class team of journalists. Plus subscriber-only functionality to comment on stories, access newspaper e-editions, gift articles, and enjoy crosswords and puzzles. Subscribe now to Herald Premium.
Welcome back. It is 11 minutes after 8. SailGP is returning to Auckland this weekend with a new grandstand, giving 10,000 fans each day a chance to get right up close to the action. 3 days out, we're joined now by Leo Takahashi and Liv McKay, who is Black Foil. They're both Black Foils athletes, I should say. Welcome back to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Good to see you. Now, I want to start with the bad and then we'll get to the good. Okay? Good. I want to take you guys back to this little collision with the Swiss team in Perth a few weeks ago. Have a look.
We had a port starboard with the Swiss and the Kiwis. Both of them were on port coming down into the gate. They both jibed. That put the Swiss on starboard, right of way boat. And there was a big crash. The Swiss took the back of the Kiwi boat off, just missing Pete Burling. Looking at the Swiss on board, it was a real thing. Pete got lucky, to be honest, and I can see why he was shaken up. The penalty went on New Zealand. The right call by the letter of the law. Could the Swiss have avoided the collision? That's the thing in my head, Andy.
How does it feel watching it back? You're both so you're kind of giggling now, which is good, but it looks bloody scary, Liv.
Yeah, I think, well, you're on the other side of the boat, so closer to it, but both of us weren't really watching that way, so it definitely gave us a fright. I'm not sure about you.
Bit of a surprise, yeah. That sound of carbon just crunching is just not nice to be on the side of, but yeah, it's a really interesting collision, I guess. We've talked about it a lot of times and how we can kind of do a better job of it next time, but yeah, It's just not the best way to start the season.
No, but is there because you guys got the penalty, right?
Yeah.
Was that the right call? You know, whose fault is it, and how hard is it to actually avoid them?
Yeah, so that first leg or second leg of the course, that's really where you have the most interaction with boats. We've obviously got 13 or 12 of us there that were all coming in, and it's where we're going the fastest. So it was a slight misjudgment. We were a little bit delayed, but we're talking about 1-2 seconds. So yeah, it's always really hard in that part of the course, and at that point in time we were actually pinned, so we couldn't get out. And yeah, we've spoken about it a lot, as Leo said, and we feel like we were a bit hard done by with the damage. We feel like we couldn't avoid it at a certain point, and we felt like it should have been on both of us, because at the end of the day it comes down to avoiding that damage, no matter who's in the right and the wrong. So yeah, we were very lucky that no one was hurt at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. So now here we are, 3 days to go before we get to watch you guys in Auckland, which is awesome. Went there last year, loved it. Going to head along again this year. Leo, how's the prep been going? What has been the focus?
Yeah, it's been great. Well, obviously the boat hasn't been in great shape, but it is now. The SailGP team and our personal teams have been putting in a lot of work to get the boat back and ready for action. So yeah, we should be out there Friday training, and then Saturday, Sunday for racing. And yeah, it's going to be epic. If anything last year was to go by, it's going to be more people and more fans to be able to get on that grandstand and watch the racing. And the forecast looks epic.
Yeah, that's for
It's going to be a really windy sou'wester. So yeah, it's going to be epic racing for the fans and for us as well.
Is that getting your first look at it on Friday? Is that normal in terms of training, or are they fixing up until then? And normally you'd like to be on it earlier.
Oh, we'd definitely like to be on it earlier. I think, especially for Leonard's job, it's very niche, so you can't. It's quite hard to practice, but that's standard for us. So the Friday practice, we get about maximum 90 minutes sailing time on the Friday, and then you're kind of straight into racing on Saturday. It's really tight turnarounds. We're racing 2 weeks in Sydney, so you can imagine the shipping, logistics and everything. It's always quite a compressed timeline there.
Leo, you're flight controller, right? So can you tell people what you actually do on board?
Yeah, so you can see the picture here where all the boats are now foiling, or should be foiling. 100% of the time. But yeah, my job is to keep the boat on the foils and yeah, make sure that we're flying kind of consistently and at a good height. If you fly too high, you can have a chance to crash like the Danish are just about to do. But at the same time, the higher you fly, less drag, so the faster we go. So that's kind of my job, and I work well with the rest of the team to kind of get around the course, and Liv and Pete gets us around the course as the best they can. So a lot of different skills that coming into how we sail the boat together and well. But yeah, it's very niche, like Liv said, and you can't really train just because there's just no time to train. So it's all about just getting there and being on it from day one.
And you're kind of always racing too, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's almost like you're always training in a sense. Liv, you're the strategist. What are you doing on board?
Yeah, so I'd say 80-90% of the time I'm a strategist. I actually, in the lighter year, go into being a grinder, which is quite funny. They take off the two 90-kilo guys and put me up there, so that's another side of it. But the strategist side is I'm predominantly communications based, so I'm really looking up the course and looking at the wind coming down, and then also managing how we interact with the 12 other boats on the course and that dynamic. So we work a lot with the coaches. So we have two coaches that sit in similar situation to this with computers around, and they also talk to us during the race. And yeah, it's a constant balance, like trying to get that communication flow right for the conditions and the type of course we have, and who can provide the most accurate information to Pete so he can make a good decision.
Brilliant. Well, let's hope you get all the right information to Pete so you can make some great decisions this weekend. We look forward to seeing you both out on the water this weekend in Auckland. Thanks for being with me again this morning.
No, thanks for having us.
It's Leo Takahashi and Liv Mackay, Black Foils athletes. Time is 18 after 8. Right, time for a quick break. Next, Trish Sherston and Mark Kreisel join us for our panel. Then after 8:30, Jenny Mortimer is here with entertainment.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then. Mm-hmm.
We've done few subdivision with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Still can't get enough. Yeah, do what I want. Yeah, can't get enough. Still can't get enough.
Beacon City Acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university. My message to the union is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
Welcome back. It is 8:20. Unemployment has hit a 10-year high, but is there reason to be cheerful? What can we expect to see across the job market this year? That's the question we're asking this morning. Joining us now to talk all things careers is Craig McAlpine, founder of My Career Brand. Craig, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
First of all, what is My Career Brand?
So My Career Brand specialises in career transition and outplacement, so we're supporting people to find jobs, and I think that's particularly relevant in today's market where candidates are genuinely struggling.
The unemployment rate, I mean, that's the headline figure, but we had the participation rate.
Yep.
You know, there were some changes there. There is cause to be a little bit optimistic underneath the numbers. Is there?
Yeah, look, I think you've really got a feel for those people that have struggled and are coming out of a pretty low period, so 2 years of really flat or zero growth. What we are seeing is an uplift, and if you look at those numbers, I think it's really important to look between them. So we're seeing that increase in participation, which is impacting the unemployment as well. But we're still seeing also some of the major cities like Auckland, Wellington, those cities still struggling, regions doing much better. So I think we've got to look at it a little bit positively for 2026.
So what is setting you apart? I was looking at stats the other day, and I can't remember who they were from, but it was basically there's no standout candidate for a lot of businesses because there's so many people who are applying who are all very well qualified, who all have great CVs. So how do you actually be the one they pick?
Yeah, you're talking about the differentiator there, the value proposition. So you've really got to think about what is that organisation struggling with. Go looking for the problem, not to fill a role title. So technical competencies, great, but you're competing with maybe around about 100 other applicants that are demonstrating the same technical competencies. What we want to see is problem solving. Employers are looking to solve problems now, so rather than looking for potential 12 months down the track, they've got a problem now. Ask what problems are that they need to solve, address it both in your CV and in the job interview.
Right, so in the CV even. So do people still do cover letters?
Less so now, but I always recommend that people do cover letters because it takes you through a process of really understanding what your value proposition is. If they don't ask for a cover letter, put one in. If they specifically say don't don't.
Right, okay. Because that's, for me, that would be your ideal place to say, hey, I understand who you are as a business. I've done some research. This is a bit about me kind of thing, or is that too much?
That would be sort of like the sort of historical way of looking at it. But what we're looking at is really, you've got around about 6 seconds to get the attention of a recruiter. They'll generally jump, well, it's actually less than that now, but they'll jump straight to your CV, discard cover letters, because so many of them are rubbish. Your opening paragraphs, first 3 statements have got to talk to the role, talk to your value proposition, talk to how you're actually going to solve their problems.
6 seconds.
Less.
See, I just put a photo of myself, obviously. That seems to work.
Well, of course. I'm the opposite. But
no, Craig, don't undersell yourself. So what are we seeing in the job market this year? Like, what are some themes? What are some areas of growth even for people?
Yeah. So what we're seeing is an underlying confidence from employers. If we look back now, we're seeing highest confidence manufacturing in 4 years, some other stats that point to the highest level of confidence in 9 years. They take a while to actually trickle through. So it's a sort of like a hurry up and wait type sort of scenario. And for people who have been stuck in that job market, that's challenging. I would recommend that people focus on the sectors that are doing really well, there are some roles that are struggling. So transferable skills, really think about those and how they're going to map across to those organisations. Try and remove the sector-specific bias if you can, because employers will gravitate towards that if they see it.
And predictions for for what to watch out for the rest of the year.
I'll just get my crystal ball here.
Yes, please.
Thanks. So basically, what I'm seeing is that there is an underlying confidence that employers are starting to work through that. Contractors are starting to come to the fore. Pick up the 3-month contract if you can. Okay, it may turn into a permanent role. It's also demonstrating that you're available, you're ready, you've got value. I think employers are starting to show confidence, and therefore we're going to see that creeping through as we work through 2026.
All right, Craig, great to have you in the studio this morning. Thank you. Sure. Craig McAlpine, My Career Brand founder. Time is 8:25. Right, to the Olympics, and a Norwegian athlete has given a remarkable interview after winning bronze in the biathlon last night. Sturla Holm Lagrud was overcome, I should say, with emotion, but they were tears of guilt, not happiness, because he admitted cheating on his girlfriend.
For et halvt år siden så møtte jeg mitt livs kjærlighet. Verdens vakreste, fineste person. Og for 3 måneder siden så gjorde jeg min største tabbe og var utro mot henne. Og det fortalte jeg for en uke siden.
Poor guy. Well, I mean, no, poor her. No word yet whether his ex is willing to take him back after all of that drama. Right, let's talk about the big issues of the day, shall we? Trish Shearson Willis PR, and a director, I should say, and Mark Kreisel, the Elephant Vodcast co-host, joined me. Good morning.
G'day. Lucky you've got us for the big issues.
The brains trust has arrived.
Wasn't that last thing the big issue? I mean,
well,
is the name a bit of a red flag? Le Grup?
I think I might have mispronounced it. But no, what a terrible thing.
Well, no, the poor girlfriend. Not only do you cheat on her, but then you send it out to the blubbing on.
Yeah,
Come
true.
on.
Is that selfish behaviour, Trish?
Oh, no, outrageous.
I think it's like a Northern European thing. They just can't help but be too honest. I used to be married to a German, and she always used to say things, "Are you really wearing that?" You know, like we would just talk around things. He should have talked around that.
Perhaps you should have had her in the background today.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about the retail crime group that Paul Goldsmith set up and then is now being disbanded early. I mean, it's sort of, who cares? It's a little bit early, 4 months early or so. Trish, do those ministerial groups actually work? You know, do they do what they say on the packet?
Paul Goldsmith gets my award this morning for the best political speak. So his line was, just talking about this process has helped dampen retail crime. And I'm thinking about, young kids on the TikTok thinking about a ram raid. Are they thinking, wow, haven't they, the government, they've got a process, haven't they? No, we're not going to do that today.
But I sort of bought it because I think it does filter, like when society's had enough of something and we all, decide that something is going to be done about it, it sort of did stop.
Well, I think it was a pressure release valve. Remember when this group was set up, and it was actually under the previous government, there was so much focus on retail crime, and I think it said, hey, we are actually taking it seriously because it had become, and in all seriousness, so dangerous for retail workers, particularly people working in our supermarkets and our dairies, and as employers in those businesses, it was really keeping people awake at night. I think there were some great people on there who were very results focused, but you only need to look at the resignations off that group to probably in the Venn diagram of what's gone wrong, see what the common denominator might be.
Yeah, it hasn't been great, and it's actually making the government look a little bit rattled at the moment. They're actually doing a lot of explaining about things, explaining why this is finished early, explaining the difference between a levy and a tax. I mean, I don't know, what's the PR advice when it comes to over-explaining?
Explaining is losing. Yes.
Well, if you're complaining or explaining, you're losing. That is the old adage.
Yeah, so they're looking a little bit rattled. They feel almost, to me, like the end of a third-term government in a way at the moment, Started in an election year, coming back fresh and everything, and they just actually seem to be stuck in a few ruts. This is just another example, I think.
One way out of a rut, of course, is a nang, and now they have...
What?
And now they have... Well, I don't know.
What a great...
I'm trying to segue here.
Is there a T-shirt in there? This is fantastic advice.
Wear it on the back.
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, terrible what's happening in Hawke's Bay, and they've got these giant things that are 260 hits. And this is supposed to be for catering purposes.
Right. If you're buying something called Miami Magic, it's not for putting whipped cream in your buns.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's. I just did a bit of a search on it. Actually, this nitrous oxide.
Yes.
Oxide. Oxide has been laughing gas. They used to have parties in the 1700s using it. So it's been around a long time, but it's just gone a little bit crazy now. I mean, all the health impacts of it. I don't know. I guess I don't know what they do next. The danger is when you ban things, it actually just pushes it underground and makes it worse. So
yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, I think that the marketing around this is very dodgy. So if you, to Mark's point, if you look at the marketing on these canisters, it is not, it's not for commercial catering purposes. And back in the day, the thing we had to worry about with those cream canisters was actually too much dairy whip. When remember your big brother used to go in the fridge and just squirt the whole thing direct. I'm not sure what the answer is, but this has been for a long time a problem where vape stores have been selling nangs. Now, you do not go to a vape store if you want to bake a cake. You're not going to there to get your whipped cream. So there's an issue there, and maybe the tightening up of the rules around vape stores need to be looked at. I imagine a lot of these are being purchased online, and that's a question of how do you actually stop that.
Why don't you just have certain retailers that are allowed to sell them, you know what I mean?
But I think people always find a way around it. New Zealand has this great DIY drug culture because, that we will find a way to get inebriated in any way we can. So maybe it's at that point of trying to work out why people are doing this in small towns. I don't know.
Hey, you guys been watching the Winter Olympics?
I haven't, but I tell you what, I have been.
Both of your faces.
No.
Don't ask us that.
No, it's more of a just a time of year thing when you're outside at night. But the thing I have been watching on Netflix, there is an amazing ice dancing documentary. So think about the Summer Olympics. They did that incredible documentary leading in all the sprinters, which was phenomenal. Same thing with the ice dancers, the 3 top couples in the world. That is incredible. So I will be... I hope it hasn't already gone on the Winter
No,
Olympics,
it hasn't. It hasn't.
But that is always one event that I think is just absolutely magic.
I love the aspirational thing of the Olympics. They come from smaller towns, there's a lot about the mums and dads who brought the kids up and took them skiing and doing all that kind of thing. I'm not from a skiing family. We don't do a lot of it, but I've had a bit to do with some of these athletes, and they're great. They're great Kiwis. and they've worked really hard to get where they are.
And they're winning medals, which is the main thing too, isn't it? Hey, good to see you both this morning. Thanks for coming in. Trish Sherson Willis, PR Director, and Mark Kreisel, the Elephant Vodcast co-host. It is 28 minutes away from 9. Here's Neva with headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
There's nothing to suggest the rates of retail crime have fallen. The government's scrapping its Retail Crime Ministerial Advisory Group early after 3 members resigned. Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith confirmed it'll wrap up in May, not the scheduled September end date. Retail NZ CEO and former group member Carolyn Young told Ryan Bridge there are no signs offending is falling. She says there's always more to do to support retail and create better shopping environments. A coroner says government agencies have been too slow at taking on recommendations following the death of Malachi Schubex. The 5-year-old died in late 2021 from brain injuries following months of abuse at the hands of his carer, Michaela Barryball. In 2022, a review made 14 recommendations, which the government recently announced it would implement. But coroner Janet Anderson says changes aren't happening fast enough to reduce Aotearoa's scandalous rate of non-accidental child deaths. A damning review of the Teaching Council says the agency has lost focus on its core function of safeguarding children. An independent external review was carried out late last year by consultant Debbie Francis. The findings paint a picture of an organisation struggling to understand its primary role and which needs to overhaul its operating model over the next 5 years. The report says the council is focused on being liked by the profession, which has come at the expense of child safety and core duties. New Zealand's corruption score has declined for the 4th year in a row. The nation's Corruption Perception Index score has fallen 2 points, once again to its lowest ever, 81, 10 points lower than the peak of 91 in 2016. We still rank 4th equal with Norway, behind Denmark, Finland and Singapore. Transparency International New Zealand Executive Director Julie Haggie says it reflects how businesses feel about the public sector's integrity. She says it isn't hopeless, but it's a wake-up call and the country needs clear strategic direction. A father of one of the Christchurch mosque victims says he cannot understand why Brenton Tarrant's allowed to appeal his convictions and life sentence. Tarrant wants to overturn his guilty pleas to murder, attempted murder and terrorism, claiming prison conditions worsened his mental health. Rashid Omar's son died in the attack. He says yesterday in court was easier. He did not have to look at Tarrant, unlike on Monday. Omar says he likes to control and manipulate lawyers, adding he has so many rights.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
21-year-old debutante Luca Harrington is the 4th New Zealander to secure a medal at a Winter Olympics. He left his best until last at the Milan Cortina Games, jumping from 11th to bronze in the free ski slope style. An unbeaten T20 World Cup record partnership of 175 from Tim Seifert and Finn Allen has helped New Zealand post a 10-wicket win over the UAE in Chennai. The Herald reports Jason Holland and Ian Foster lead the shortlist to replace Reds-bound Vern Cotter as Blues Super Rugby coach next year.
Herald Now Weather.
Kia ora. Today's high pressure keeps things dry and warm for most parts of the country, but those same warm temperatures also trigger showers and even thunderstorms for some places. At the same time, this easterly flow drags humid air over the top of the country. It's cloudy to start, but then the sun takes the baton and warms things up inland. However, along the east coast, onshore winds keep temperatures in the teens. Sunny breaks make an appearance this afternoon, but inland areas you may see a few showers, which could be thundery for parts of Tasman and Bulla. Today's highs are firmly in the 20s and northerly winds kick things off, but we see a switch to southerlies and southeasterlies later this afternoon. Now, this could be one of the more active parts of the country today once those afternoon showers get going, with possible thunderstorms for inland Tairāwhiti, Gisborne and Bay of Plenty. After an already warm start to the day with heavy showers for some areas, it only gets warmer and more humid as the day goes on. However, there will be plenty of sunny breaks with only the odd shower possible.
23 away from 9. We'll get to Sunny Kaushal before 9 o'clock. We're also going to head to Mount Maunganui because businesses there, obviously with what's happened with the landslide, businesses are struggling because people aren't going. So we'll find out what we can do about that. First, Taika Waititi has become the king of the Super Bowl ad for the last 2 years. He's directed more than any other director. This year he did 3, last year 4. Here to explain why, Jenny Mortimer, Chief Entertainment Reporter at the Herald. Jenny, good morning.
Good morning.
I mean, I'm assuming they pay lots to do an ad.
Oh, look, ads aren't what they used to be. Super Bowl ads command the highest price, the most attention, the biggest audience. So for Taika's cut, 3 ads, we figured out, kind of based on what the general rate is for a director for those spots, he could have got a $10 million payday for 3 ads, a couple days work for each, which is massive. So, yeah, Super Bowl ads are the big time now for directors.
100%. Let's take a look at, I think this is Pepsi.
You're not the only one. This can be heavy. Tell me about your mother.
I want to break free.
Okay. Paul's laughing, our director. He's just sitting there chuckling away watching that. So it's obviously worked.
And it's got the little Coldplay concert reference at the end. You know, they're getting caught on camera, drinking the Pepsi.
Yes.
The, you know,
I
the
didn't
polar
get that
bear is
bit.
the Coke mascot. So lots happening. Very Taika. Like,
It's too, do you know what? It's too deep for me.
I did too much. Yeah. So he's clever. He puts himself in it, so that probably commanded a higher premium too. But the thing that people keep gravitating towards, the advertising agency who produced the Pepsi commercial said, when it comes to Taika, you get the full package. You get who he is on set. You get what he's able to bring. You really get a full package deal in terms of his Kiwi humour, and he's a joy to have on set. They said. So,
Cool. All right, Fashion Week. We've got some dates.
Yes.
When is it?
Yes, we do. So August 17th, Fashion Week will be back, and this is the reinvigorated Fashion Week. Of course, it was brought back last year in this new format, which was a success. You know, new directors, new people running it, old designers like Karen Walker were back, and so this year they are back again, and with a new reinvigorated Fashion Week, and hopefully another great success.
All right, very good. And finally this morning, Catherine O'Hara, iconic comedian. For those who love Schitt's Creek, she played Moira.
Yes.
And we have new details on her cause of death.
Yes, so yesterday we found out that the cause of death was blood clot to the lungs, but the overarching cause was she had cancer, and so she was having a battle with rectal cancer, and the blood clots, she called an ambulance. The call was revealed, I think TMZ obtained it, and she was having trouble breathing, was taken to the hospital in a serious condition, and later died. So very sad and a massive loss for the entertainment
100%.
industry.
God, TMZ always gets the cop calls, don't they? And
I know.
they release them over there?
Yeah,
Or they get leaked. I don't know how they get out, but
Yeah.
like, if she's calling,
I know, it's quite horrific.
it's very grim. I'm glad we don't do that here.
No.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Jenny Mortimer, Chief Entertainment Reporter at the Herald, 19 to 9 now. This should be peak season in Mount Maunganui, but local businesses say they're struggling to attract visitors back to their stores following the deadly landslide there, with foot traffic and trade down significantly. Many businesses near the base of the mount have reduced their opening hours and are worried about how they'll get through the winter. Shannon Hope is the manager of Copenhagen Cones and joins us from the mount this morning. Shannon, good morning.
Good morning. How are we this morning?
Yeah, we're good. More to the point, how are you doing?
Yes, it's a little bit of a different outlook to what we're used to in the Mount in February. Obviously, we are missing our mount walkers, the hot pools swimmers, and the campers, which make up a lot of our trade down here at Mount Maunganui North.
How much do you think trade is down?
Well, you can tell just by being on the streets. You can park anywhere, which does not happen in the Mount apart from in the middle of winter. I think maybe people are feeling a bit apprehensive about coming down to the Mount, but, you know, it has been a terrible tragedy and we're not going to forget what happened, but maybe we just need to move forward and start enjoying the beautiful place that we have here.
Yeah, we're looking at some sunny pictures. That looks like it's quite busy, I imagine, is from previously. What about, you've obviously got fixed costs, overheads, what about staff hours and things? Is all that being affected by this?
Definitely. We were quite lucky ourselves because a lot of our staff were uni students, so this was the time that they were going to be leaving anyway, or school students. But I think a lot of people are struggling with, you know, obviously you can't keep staff on if you don't have the work there. So yeah, maybe we just need to look at enticing people back down to the Mount for different reasons than what we were maybe, you know, 2 months ago.
Shannon, you've been speaking to other business owners around town as well. What are they feeling?
Yes. Everyone's feeling a bit of uncertainty. It's very different to what we know. We've always had a lot of foot traffic. The Mount is a very popular place to come to holiday, to come for the day for a picnic. And we've still got all of that. We've still got the beach. The New Zealand Herald has recently said that we have the best city beach. So, you know, the beach is still there. We've still got other things that we can enjoy. It's just going to look a little bit different to what it looked like previously.
Well, here's to getting the word out, Shannon, and getting people back to the Mount to enjoy, as you said, the Herald's best beach.
Yes, best city beach.
All right, good luck, and hopefully people get the message and get the word out that the Mount is open for business, including Copenhagen Cones.
Definitely. There to serve you daily.
Nice one, Shannon. Thank you. Shannon Hawke with us from Copenhagen Cones. It's 8:45. Time for a quick break. Are we doing a break? What are we doing? Yep, we're doing a break. Do a break. And then we'll come back to Sunny Kaushal. We had Paul Goldsmith on earlier. The retail crime group's been disbanded. Sunny was in charge of it. So why is Sunny claiming this is some sort of victory? He's next.
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. You can do it. We can help. Here's how. Download Tempo now.
Hip-hop and R&B. Flavor.
Here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost center reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
The New Zealand Herald. News worth knowing.
Welcome back. Sunny Kaushal has been telling the government how to tackle retail crime for almost 2 years now, but now the Retail Advisory Group he chairs is being axed just a little early after a flurry of resignations and infighting. So, who can retailers rely on now to protect them? Sunny Kaushal is with us live. Sunny, good morning.
Very good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Sunny, you must admit it's been a bit sloppy.
Well, it has not been sloppy, I would say, but it has been very interesting and it has been full on because the issue that we have been dealing with, it was a very, very serious issue in the sense, the bigger issue we look at, the retail crime in New Zealand is costing $2.7 billion per annum, which is more than $51 million per week or more than $7.2 million per day. And that is the financial cost. If we look at the human cost, which is even bigger. So this is a huge issue and we all need to deal with it. At the end of the day, every New Zealander is paying for it. And the retailers have been feeling unsafe from very long time. And I'm very proud of the progress that we have achieved and the quality of policy work produced to the government. And we are receiving a strong appreciation across the country from retailers and the New Zealand police. In fact, the retailers say they finally feel heard.
Sunny, well, that is good that they feel heard, but are they actually safer? I know that the ram raids have come down, but are we seeing retail crime reduce?
Well, our responsibility in this group was to deliver the quality reports, the independent advice, and the evidence-based reforms to the government, to the ministers, which we have delivered. Ryan, as we speak, we have delivered our work much faster than expected. Last year, we have delivered 5 high-quality reports, and those were major reform packages. And currently, as we speak, we are working on the final few reports, and which will deliver before May. And that was anyway our plan. And in truth, the Ministerial Advisory Group would have been winding down at that stage anyway. So these reforms have been submitted to the government. And now the good thing is that the Crimes Amendment Bill is in front of the Parliament. And that carries a lot of our work. That would deliver the consequences and, of course, the getting tough on crime. And I'm very proud of the work that we have done.
Sunny, did you make any, Carolyn Young said that you got quite personal or through intermediaries, you personally slighted her. Did you?
Well, that's not true. Look, I'm not upset how things went down. I'm focused on delivering outcome for victims. I'm not interested in the MAG becoming a talk fest focused on frameworks. I have not responded to her public comments because I'm focused on getting the job done and not getting distracted by ego.
Okay. Sunny, appreciate your time this morning. Sunny Kaushal, Chair of the Advisory Group for Victims of Retail Crime. It is 10 minutes away from 9. Time to talk business thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. Earlier I was joined by Garth Bray from Business, a host of Herald Now Business, and started by asking who is in the running for the $1 billion deal to build an LNG terminal in Taranaki.
The official word on this from Simon Watts is that the government shortlisted some leading proposals and was moving to a commercial contracting stage with the idea of trying to sign something by the middle of this year, obviously before the election, because they see this as a plus and probably because they would need to try and lock in a bit of certainty with a business desk has been doing a bit of a dive into this one. Dilip has been on the case, identified probably 3 bids. 2 of them look quite good. A Norwegian company, I'm going to muck this up, Hawke, gave it a good go, didn't I?
Yeah.
Which basically they make a shipping company, and they make what are described as fast-track floating LNG terminals that kind of whip in and do the job.
I've seen a photo of this, because will our one float too?
Well, let's see which one we buy.
Okay.
Because the other one is an outfit called Hibiscus Petroleum based in Malaysia, and they have already been looking around at gas fields and so on here, and their MD Kenneth Gerard Pereira was reported at the summit last year saying New Zealand's an appealing market. Because although we use a lot of renewables, very high use at the moment, I think it's sort of up in the high 90s towards 100 because we've had such a, good year for the dams. But LNG import costs are high, and we've recently discovered how important gas is. So there's a Turkish bidder, I think, possibly was in the mix, but apparently they were looking at Marsden Point.
Okay.
So it sounds like all this is the action is more located around Taranaki. This is a big deal. This is, I know you've been talking about it this morning, the worth of it, the point of it, all the rest of it. I think the reality is it's probably might add $16 to $30 to a power bill a year if it gets passed all the way through. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's interesting what David Seymour was just saying. I mean, it's not like it's going to show up on your power bill as a government levy. It's levied on some power companies, and then depending on how it all shakes down, we may or may not actually see it. You know,
someone
in theory,
always pays, right?
Well.
But so Contact, I think Mike Few just saying, hey, we'd rather it was on gas as well as electricity users, just to spread it around. I think Malcolm Johns from Genesis and the Herald today is talking about how, look, we can sort of see some value for this potentially. I mean, bear in mind they've done a lot to try and make Huntly the firming option with coal. Simon Upton, the sort of former national minister back in the 90s, who's parliamentary commissioner for the environment, saying, look, this is costly, bad idea. From an emissions perspective, it's not clear once you add in the cost of liquefying and transporting LNG, is it actually any better than coal?
Oh, really?
So he's saying,
because that's
slow your roll, basically.
Because that's the argument, isn't it?
One of them.
Okay, all
One
right.
of them is the bottom line, though, is people want the lights on more than they want a good price, I think. We've not had a lot of power cuts in this country recently, but go back into the late 90s and they had a wave of them, and that's when we got the last round of big market reforms, because people want the lights on no matter what.
You absolutely cannot get back to the past. Right, the SFO-run pilot scheme dove deep into processes and found 446 alleged or suspected cases of internal fraud. This is talking about what, government fraud? What are you talking about?
So this is a pilot scheme. I actually attended the launch of it last year, Mark Mitchell with the SFO director, and they basically got 6 government departments or agencies, IRD, ACC Corrections, MSD, Land Information, and Sport New Zealand, if you will, to say, hey, look, open your books, let us in, let us do a bunch of tests and assessments, and we'll take a look. And they reckon that they're really just trying to work out how well placed these big public sector agencies that spend, billions of our dollars, taxpayer dollars, are to spot fraud. They found something like, in one case, there was 70% of the assessment criteria for fraud and transactions weren't there. 64 weren't there at another. They've sort of anonymised this all so that they're not sort of playing blame games about which department's doing what better. But interesting stuff there. I mean, so they've broadened this out. They said, look, if we apply some analysis in the US to UK, could be $823 million to $10 billion in potential losses.
Okay, all right. Hey, the global dairy trade auction, we talk about that every fortnight, but they have a pulse auction every other week. What's the result of that?
Yeah, interesting and good. Popped up just overnight. Smaller than the main events, as you mentioned, sort of bit more bidders than in the previous pulse, and we saw lifts, basically. We saw about a 0.4% increase for whole milk powder, which is good. It's up to about $3,600 US a tonne now. And skim milk up 2.4, so still rising. That was up about 10, I think, in the last major event. And butter up 5%, and that's all on the back of ANZ, one of the big banks, saying
dragging their heels, but finally
the forecast, the 9.5 they're picking as the midpoint, or the for the season price,
which is great
when it gets adjusted. So bonanza year down to the farm.
Fantastic. That was earlier on the program with Garth Bray, Herald and our business host. Thanks to our partners, Forsyth Bar. We'll take a quick break and be back in a second.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Forsyth Bar investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Forsyth Bar, investment advice.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning. Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, who got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
It is 3 minutes away from 9 now. After more than a decade and more than $1 billion, the International Convention Centre in Auckland has finally opened its doors this morning. Have a look.
3, 2, 1.
The centre was built to attract international conferences to New Zealand with hopes its events will contribute $90 million a year to the economy. The project dates back to a controversial 2013 agreement, remember this, between entertainment group Sky City and the then national-led government under Sir John Key. The first big event kicks off this weekend with 660 set to perform. And just quickly, in Mexico, police have unveiled their newest weapon to fight crime at this year's Football World Cup. It's a pack of robot dogs. The dogs are designed to enter dangerous areas and broadcast live video back to security forces. They'll operate in near the venue, which is hosting 4 group games. The World Cup starts on June the 11th and is being co-hosted by Mexico, the US and Canada. What is that little thing on the head? It looks like it could clean up what comes out the back, isn't it? Right, it is coming up to 9 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow from 7 o'clock. For more news in the meantime, head to nzherald.co.nz. Thank you as always to our partners this morning, and a very special congratulations to all of our Olympians who are winning medals over in Italy, even if they are breaking. I've just read this morning that Zoe Sadowski-Sinnott's medal has broken. Apparently the ribbons are coming apart from the actual medal, and if you've got it on your neck, then presumably that they're falling on the ground, and although it's snow, so it's probably fine. Anyway, congratulations to all of them. We will see you tomorrow.